Have you ever wondered who's responsible for cleaning garbage out of local waterways? Well, it turns out nobody is. There are no agencies at the state, local, or federal level charged with pulling out trash and tires. That job actually falls entirely to volunteers, and more are needed. I'm joined now by Jimmy Orth. He's the executive director of conservation and advocacy with the St. John's Riverkeeper. And Jimmy, welcome. I just want to note that last month you celebrated 20 years with the Riverkeeper organization. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. It's
It's
been
a
20 years of a lot of fun, but also a lot of challenges, I can say.
Well, your commitment is admirable and some difficult work that you've done. So, the St. John's River Cleanup, the Great St. John's River Cleanup, is about to get underway this Saturday, and it runs with a number of events around the watershed. Tell us a little bit about that event and how it all ties together.
Yeah, well, a lot of folks may be aware that Duval County's been hosting a St. John's River cleanup for now this year 29 years. And what we wanted to do, though, is we wanted to actually expand this effort to include other counties throughout the watershed. A lot of people don't realize, but the watershed of the St. John's River is about 9,000 square miles. There's 13 counties that touch the river. It's the longest river in Florida as well, at 310 miles long. So what we wanted to do is involve the other people throughout the watershed. So we started 2 years ago the Great St. John's River Cleanup, which is a collaboration of cleanups throughout the watershed. So we're working with 7, hopefully 8 counties this year with cleanups that people can get involved throughout the watershed. And it's really a way to galvanize people, bring people together so that we can work collectively to protect and restore the St. John's River.
And so, this was something that years ago was kind of manned by the St. John's River Water Management District, which is a government body, and there's 5 of them in the state, but the St. John's one did organize cleanups that I had done before too, and they don't do it anymore. What happened?
Well, it became too much of an effort for them to manage because there was literally a cleanup on the same day every year that involved just about all the counties in the watershed. And what happened is they just decided they didn't have the resources to do it anymore. And unfortunately, a lot of the counties decided to quit hosting cleanups after that. Duval has continued, thankfully, but what we wanted to do is kind of recreate that effort where we're trying to get all the counties pitching in, working together to collaborate throughout. This is not one day anymore. It actually extends until April 25th.
And so there are cleanups in a variety of counties. You said, how do people connect with those cleanups if they want to? How do they, is there like information on your website, or do they have to find their own local place?
You can go to our website. We have a page set up with all links to all the different county websites for the cleanups. And we actually have a URL, stjohnsrivercleanup.com. So if you just go to stjohnsrivercleanup.com, we have all the information there. You can also, for the one that kicks off this Saturday in Duval, which there's over 40 cleanup sites in Duval County alone this Saturday, you can also just go to the jacksonville.gov website, the city of Jacksonville's website, search in the search engine for St. John's River Cleanup, and you'll find the information about all those sites as well.
You and I were talking a little bit about how this could be an opportunity, not just for people who care about the river, but actually for students who are trying to get together their Bright Future Scholarship. I mean, this is a volunteer opportunity, and, it's even possible that somebody could volunteer over many days, given, the length of this cleanup across all of the counties in the watershed.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a great opportunity for students. Now, I know Duval's cleanup, they do require the ones here in Jacksonville that you be 18 years or older or accompanied by an adult, so they would have to be accompanied by an adult. But yes, students can come out, bring your parents, and get out there and clean up the river this weekend. And then also look on our website, and you can find other cleanups. There's going to be cleanups coming up in Clay County, Putnam County, Volusia County, Seminole, Orange, and St. John's.
So the issue of trash in the river, it's not just unsightly. It has some, actual harmful impacts for wildlife and the waterways and the creatures that live there. Talk a little bit about what we're seeing, particularly when it comes to like plastic pollution.
Well, I think that's something that's really concerning, is because a lot of the cleanups that if you go to attend, you'll see a lot of it is packaging. It's single-use plastic packaging for different products that are, and those things don't break down. Plastics can take decades before it breaks down. And then part of the problem is as it breaks down, those particles get smaller and smaller, and people may have heard the term microplastics. There's actually microplastics probably in our bodies right now. We're finding that this is so pervasive on our planet, but it also causes all kinds. It can cause health risks for wildlife, for humans as well. We've probably all seen the horrific images of animals, their necks caught in, a six-pack plastic ring. It can cause strangulation. It can cause them to they ingest it and can kill wildlife. And then a lot of this is actually as it breaks down, like plastic bags. There was a study a couple of years ago that as plastic bags break down, there's about 13,000 chemical compounds in those bags that then can be released. And not all are harmful, but a lot of those are toxic and harmful to human and wildlife health.
So the trash component, I mean, there in some ways greater awareness that people shouldn't litter, but as you say, there's a lot of things that we didn't used to have that are now packaged and ready to go, and to go food itself, particularly since the pandemic has become a much more de rigueur kind of um, possession that people have.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's more pervasive. We're seeing, I mean, I saw some statistic the other day that by 2050, we're going to see a doubling of the amount of plastic that's produced on this planet. So we're rapidly increasing the use of plastics, which then obviously, and so few of them get recycled. That's actually, I saw research recently that I think it's between 5 and 10% of plastic is actually recycled. So even if you throw it in the recycle bin, if it's not the right kind of plastic or it has multiple types of plastic in it, it might not be able to be recycled.
So you've talked in theory about the idea of creating kind of a pollution limit, a threshold for garbage, and that's like there are regulatory guidelines right now for the river. It's called a total maximum daily load, or TMDL, and that's basically the amount of pollution that a water body can absorb before it degrades. If this is just an idea, but how could that apply to trash, and what would it trigger if it existed?
Well, I think that's one of the problems. We don't, like you mentioned earlier at the intro of this segment, is there's not really any regulatory agencies that are required to keep trash out of our waterways and then actually to remove it once it's there. A TMDL would actually require local governments to make efforts to prevent that trash from making it into the waterway in the first place. There's only like four cities and municipalities in the country that have a TMDL for trash. One's LA, San Francisco has one in New York City, and they're required in some cases to keep out at least 80% of the trash that makes it into the waterway. So they have to do things like public education campaigns, screens that go across the curb inlets that lead to the St. Johns River. And those are some of the things that we need to look at is regulatory requirements to prevent this trash from making it into the waterways in the first place. And we've got to start in this country manufacturing products that are more recyclable and not allowing just single-use plastic, which is becoming so pervasive.
The task of keeping these waterways clean, it's a lot of work, and there is actually a volunteer branch of your organization that continues to clean up. I think it's McCoy's Creek. Tell us a little bit about the length of that effort and sort of the Sisyphusian nature of it.
Well, I think that's I think, yeah, what you're referencing is we have a Rising Tides program for young professionals. They've been cleaning up McCoy's Creek, different sections of it. They go start on one end and basically finish on the other throughout the course of a year. They go every month. They've been doing it for 11 years, every single month. And still, the amount of trash that they're pulling out of McCoy's Creek is astonishing. You would think it would be getting much better over time, but it's just demonstrates how much of this trash still makes it into the waterways. People do it, in some cases, it's from illegal dumping, but in a lot of cases, it's just trash that's in the back of a pickup truck or back of a garbage truck that flies out and ends up making it into our waterways.
So last year, 1,000 volunteers collected 30,000 pounds of trash. What's the goal this year?
Well, we want to obviously do better than that. We're hoping to get 2,000 volunteers throughout the watershed. And I think this is one of those efforts. We want to increase participation, not just throughout the watershed, but definitely in Duval as well. I've been involved with the river cleanup here in Duval since its inception almost 30 years ago. And we used to get on a regular basis at least 1,000 volunteers a year. Last year, Duval had less than 400. And so we need to increase that participation because one of the things that I think is critical is that citizens, we have to take ownership of our river. We have to pitch in and take action. And what we hope through the cleanups is that people will get involved. they'll see learn more about the impacts of trash and litter, what that impact is having on the river, and they'll become advocates because we all need to advocate for the St. Johns River.
Well, Jimmy Orth, thank you so much for the work that you've done. Congratulations again on 20 years at the Riverkeeper. And you can find more information at the St. Johns Riverkeeper website for the cleanup that starts this weekend.
Yes,
Thanks, Jimmy.
thanks. Please get out there and help clean up our river.